Hello everyone and welcome back to another video with On Point Politics, and today we are doing a little bit of a quicker video. Today we are going over the governor's races for 2024. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you want more content just like this. And so, there's not that many governorships up for grabs this cycle, and I actually created a model the same way I did the Senate model for the governorship races as of right now. For context, these were the results in the 2020 election. Now, you'll notice states like Vermont, and New Hampshire have safe governorship races. This is because, governor races are a little bit different. They tend to be a little bit more elastic and kind of can differ from the top of the presidential ticket sometimes, especially at the federal level. Now, of course, Sununu and Phil Scott are more liberal type Republicans, hence why they are doing very well in these states. But I just wanted to preface that before the prediction. Some states do have different characterizations as of right now. And in order to go here, we're going to be starting out with the state of Washington. My forecast has the state as just a 5-point victory for the Democrat there. What's very interesting is we can see here in 2016, instantly basically won by 8.8%, and we look here in 2020, the Democrat won by 13 as the nation shifted to the left. However, the actual seat itself on the Democrat level, for example, actually shifted to the left, but the Republican national environment for the governorship races actually moved to the right by quite a bit. So the seat did trend to the left. However, when it comes to Washington and Oregon, their non-presidential races tend to be more competitive than the top of the ticket for whatever reason. And so this cycle, since Joe Biden on the national stage is performing very abysmally, and the fact that Joe Biden really can't even at this point is polling at almost minus 20 nationwide, that is definitely playing a factor into the model. And that's why this cycle I have it as a 5-point victory. There's not too much polling out of the state, but it does show a 2-point average lead for the Democrat. And when you model it out, it basically ends up giving you a 3.5-point victory without the top of the ticket. Now, just to preface this as well, when it comes to things like this during presidential years, the top of the ticket has a big influence in how races vote. And we actually see here essentially that the presidential results from 2020 had a 0.4 correlation to the governor results. So basically, the presidential results essentially have a weight on what the governor, Senate results end up looking like, because the top of the ticket is able to help turn out more voters during that year. And that's factored into the model as well. And so we see that the Democrat actually does a little bit better in Washington because of Biden, believe it or not, despite Biden only winning it by just a couple of points in my projection. I only have Biden winning the state of Washington by 8 points. So we actually see the Democrat perform a little bit better. If it wasn't for Joe Biden, the Democrat would actually be doing a little bit worse here. In the state of Utah, this is very, very, very simple. It's a 36-point victory. No actual polling out of the state for a competitive race, but we did have primary data. I kind of basically used that for now. And we see here in the previous results, we see that it's basically been a safe election in both cycles. And so I really can't say it's going to end up being competitive. That more than likely is going to be in the safe Republican column. The next race we are going to be looking at is the state of Montana, which is a 23-point victory for the Republican candidate that is polling there. And we see without, basically without the top of the ticket, the Republican would be winning by about 18 points as of right now. Presumably Daines would end up winning that as well. And we see here that Donald Trump is supposed to win the state of Montana, according to my model, by 29 points. So that's playing a factor into it as well. Also, my bad, I believe I referred to the Senator Daines. I believe that that's not who is there right now, actually. So that is going to be a safe Republican state there. North Dakota is a 47-point victory. I mean, it's basically been safe both times. I don't really need to elaborate on that. Burgum won both of his terms, did a little bit worse during the second one, but I expect the other Republican candidate to do very decent in the state of North Dakota. In Missouri, we also have a pretty easy victory of 23 points there. We see there is a decent amount of polling there, and it does kind of come out to a 17-point win in polling data. And based on the state's rightward trajectory in terms of it trending in a certain direction, you're really going to see that take place in Missouri, and I believe it's going to be in the safe Republican column. Because of that, we see in 2016 it was just a 5-point victory there, and then in 2020 it ended up being a 16-point win. So the state has really shifted to the right overall, trended a couple points to the right, and so that's why you're going to see the Republican do a lot better in that state. In the state of Indiana, that race is going to be a 24-point victory for the Republican candidate. The polling average basically has one poll. It's an 11-point lead for the Republican. But with Biden's disapproval rating, the fact that the seat has trended to the right, you're talking about going from a somewhat competitive cycle. Funny enough, Mike Pence was actually in danger of actually losing re-election in 2016 before Trump made him the VP candidate. But we see here in 2016, just a 6-point win, the Republican candidate won. And then in 2020, we saw that Holcomb won re-election by 25 points. That Republican governor ended up winning re-election very easily. And I would more than likely expect the Republican candidate to end up winning by a similar margin. West Virginia, that seat is going to basically be a safe Republican seat. No official head-to-head polling, just primary data, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it vote in the safe Republican column. Now, the most anticipated race for the governorships this year is a Mark Robinson and Josh Stein. This has been noticed as a very competitive race, has had the polling data very close, but once again, in the Trump era, and especially during presidential years, governor race polling tends to be pretty off in favor of Democrats. And the polling average is a 0.7 percentage point lead for Josh Stein. And despite the seat actually swinging and trending to the left between 2016 and 2020, we actually still see, even without the presidential ticket, Mark Robinson would actually win by 1.3%, which is identical to Trump's victory from the previous election. And with Trump on the ticket, he's actually expected to win the race by about 6 percentage points as of right now, which would be a stunning victory in the state of North Carolina. Donald Trump is expected to win by 13.5 points in the state. So that would definitely be a big reason as to why he would win. And we see here in 2016, Donald Trump won the state by 3.7. Cooper was actually able to win by a couple points. You see Donald Trump was able to win the state by 1.3%. The Democrat, Cooper, won by 4.5 percentage points. So there's always a little bit of a difference there. There's always a 4 to 5 point difference. And the difference between the Republican candidate and the governor candidate, has actually expanded, in terms of the Republican governor candidate underperforming Trump. And I expect that to increase. And you actually see that here, except Donald Trump is just winning the state by so much that there really wouldn't be any statistical way for Mark Robinson to go down at that point. And so I believe Mark Robinson more than likely ends up winning that election as of right now. It's also, Mark Robinson is not facing the incumbent Governor Roy Cooper, so that's definitely going to play a factor into that too. The model has the Delaware governor race, literally just a 9.5 point victory. Donald Trump is coming close in that state, just winning it by 8 points. So believe it or not, Joe Biden actually drags down the ticket in Delaware, funny enough. And we see the last two states, New Hampshire and Vermont. Now, Vermont, you are going to have this as an 11-point victory for Phil Scott. Phil Scott is running for re-election, and he has become a little bit less popular. Even though the polling average has him up by quite a bit, you still have, the seat isn't trending as hard to the right as it should be in order for him to win by a pretty decent amount. And so right now it is only forecasted as a 12-point victory, and Joe Biden actually drags down Phil Scott in the state as well, which is pretty fascinating. Phil Scott's performance is dragged down by Biden's victory as of right now. And the final state, New Hampshire, is also a 13-point victory in the state as of right now. You see that the polling there is semi-competitive. Both nominees have been leading polling data there, but as of right now, it is shown as a likely margin in the forecast. We see the Republican candidate leads the average there We actually go to it by 11 points as of right now. And when we look at previous results and the way it's trending and Biden kind of actually helping the Democrat at the top of the ticket, it is still not enough, and the Republican goes out there and wins by a likely margin. And that is it for this video. If you guys did enjoy this video, please make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you want more content just like this, and I will see you guys in the next video.